The idea was to have property management company that will manage my own properties and I don't know, 10 to 15 properties of my clients. The money that we will be bringing in from my clients' properties were supposed to cover a full-time employee who will be dealing with everything, and I kind of will be just doing whatever I want to be doing, which is investing in real estate. That's where my passionate lays, and that's what I like doing.
Today I'll be speaking with Yuriy Skripnichenko, owner of Trust Start Realty based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yuri has grown his property management company to over 250 doors and manages his business remotely to the point where he's not even located in Philadelphia for around 6 months of the year. So Yuri has an interesting backstory on how he was able to build up his company to the point where he doesn't need to physically be there. So without further ado, I'll let you start to learn from Yuri.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Well, how I got into property management, it's probably how a lot of us get into property management. I didn't grow up dreaming about, oh, I want to be a property manager one day. So I am an investor to begin with. I was buying my properties. I was having a property manager managing my properties while I was working full time. But then it came to the point when I had a few properties and I wanted to grow, and I couldn't get good real estate agent to work with. They would either not respond to my text, my emails, or would not show up to showings. Even that's their job, actually, to show up and open the door for me, right?
Mhm.
And then at some point, I was like, you know what? I don't need you to come and open the door for me. I have two hands. I can open the door myself. If you cannot be responsive, if you cannot tell me about the property, if you cannot tell me what it's gonna take for me to invest in this, flip it, or do whatever I need to do to get value out of it. I have two hands. I can open my own door. So I went ahead and got my real estate license, agent's license. And I didn't have any plans that I will be selling anything, or I was not planning on doing with that license anything, with exception of having access to MLS. So I can just schedule whenever I see a new property comes on the market and go and do my own deals. So I got my license while I was working full time, and then I had a friend who was buying a house, and he asked me to help him. And then I had a friend of a friend who heard that I'm doing investing, and I have my license, and they asked me to help them to buy investment property. And then it just kind of happened that I fell into this helping people buying investment properties. And I didn't really want to work with anybody who's buying their primary residence because I cannot deal with that when people come and like, oh, I don't want to buy this house because the color of the kitchen is not what I want, or because of that tree. It doesn't matter what the color is. You can paint it. For me, it has to make sense financially. If the deal works, the deal works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Doesn't matter what it looks like. You can change all of that. You cannot change the location of the property, but everything else you can change about it. So I kind of started working with investors and helping them analyzing the deals, sourcing those deals, getting them, and then they started asking me to manage their properties. And I was doing that kind of on the sideline while I was still working full time. And I would tell them, no, I don't want to manage your properties. I don't manage my own properties. Like, why would I manage your property? And then kind of ball was rolling, and then I came to the point when my portfolio grew to a little bit bigger size, and I decided to go full time into real estate. So I just quit my 9 to 5, which I'd not recommend doing anyone before you can actually afford doing that. But I quit my job. I started doing real estate full time, and then my portfolio keep growing. And then I decided that, hey, since I have my own properties and now I was managing my own properties, I got rid of my property management company. I didn't have my full-time job. So my real estate became my full-time job. I was managing them. And then in state of Pennsylvania, you have to have a license to manage somebody else's property, broker's license. You have to work under a broker, and broker actually has to kind of give you permission to manage the properties. I didn't want to work under a broker in a different brokerage to manage. So I decided like this is time when I can have my own properties and I can get a few properties of my clients, manage them, or hire somebody actually to manage them, and I can just be somewhere in, I don't know, in Mexico on the beach, sipping my cocktail and do nothing. That was the idea. So I went back to school to get my requirements for the broker exam, to get my broker's license. So I got my broker's license and I opened my business. The idea was to have property management company that will manage my own properties and I don't know, 10 to 15 properties of my clients. The money that we will be bringing in from my clients' properties were supposed to cover a full-time employee who will be dealing with everything, and then I kind of will be just doing whatever I want to be doing, which is investing in real estate. That's where my passionate lays, and that's what I like doing. And well, that didn't really work out the way how originally was planned. So here I am with a property management company.
Okay. So at the point when you decided to go full time, how many properties did you own? Because you said what kind of made you decide was you were going to go full time into real estate because you were spending a lot of time managing your own properties. I guess how many properties did you have at that point in time? And then from the day you started, what did you then start to do to bring on third party owners?
Yeah. So honestly, I do not remember exactly how many properties I had at the time when I decided to quit my full-time job. I would say it was probably, it's not how many properties, it's more how many units, because most of my properties are small multi. And I would say I had about 15 units at that time. Maybe it's a little bit less. Do not remember exactly.
Okay,
It's been
roughly 15.
yeah, it's been almost 10 years now. Uh, so let's say it was about 15 units. And my problem was my property manager actually at that time. What ended up happening, I was managing my property manager. So the originally why I hired the property management company because I didn't want to have all of these calls from the tenants or dealing with all of these repairs or collecting rent or whatever. I didn't have time for that. Uh, that's why I hired property manager. So now what ended up happening, instead of property management company dealing with all of that, I was managing my property manager. So instead of tenant calling me, they were calling property manager and property manager was calling me. And I was like, I don't need you to be a middleman between me and the tenants. I can just, anybody can do that. I need you to take this off my plate and do not bother me. I don't have time for this. So when I had, let's say, 15 doors, at that time I decided, hey, like, why do I pay this property manager that just to be a middleman between me and my tenants? I can do everything that they do better myself. That's what I thought. And I can just pocket the money that I pay them, and that would cover at least some income that I will lose
Mhm.
by giving up my full-time job. So I quit. And at that time, I was trying to get more active in real estate sales as well from my clients, so that would supplement my income. But that's how I started managing my properties. And then I would say a couple of years later, then that's when I started bringing my clients properties. And I
So,
thought that, hey, when I will do it, my clients will just like, here, manage my properties. It was not like that. I think at the time when I actually was ready to start, and again, in PA, to start your property management company, besides that, you need to have all the licenses. You also need to have brick and mortar. You cannot just be I don't know, say that your property management company and that's it. You actually have to have an office, and you actually have an inspector coming from the state who will inspect your office that it actually exists, that you have the name, and that you
that's
have
a
a phone
law
line.
specific to Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
and they will make you have a fax machine. I haven't used fax once since
Yeah.
I started the business. But you have to have it. It's just a requirement that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So,
they will come, they will inspect that. So I had to have an office, and what I did, I just bought a mixed use property as my investment property, where I have a couple apartments that I'm renting, and the first floor front, it's my office.
Got it. And how did you, like, once you decided to go full time, how did you start to bring in third party owners?
I didn't have any great plan on how to do that, or nor I knew how it's going to happen or what's going to happen. But basically, what I did, I started my office. Now I have this building, I have the name, and I have a desk where I need to sit. That's all I have. So first, what I started, yes, I absolutely created my Google profile and I started working on my website, which I have an IT background, so I kind of understand how it all works, but I'm not a professional in that in any sense. But I kind of toyed with my own website, which I put online. I made Google profile, and that's how I began. I told all of my clients that now I'm a broker, now I'm managing properties. So I had couple of my investors that gave me a few properties to begin with.
Okay.
Plus, when I started, I had probably about 25 to 30 of my own. So I started with that number of doors plus a few doors. Let's say it was five that my clients gave me. And then I just started working on getting more.
Okay. Were you like going out to networking events? Was it just, I don't know, posting to your social network? Like, how did you end up going from just a couple at the start to, let's say, eventually your first 100?
I am very bad at networking, so no, I didn't go out to networking events. It's not something that I enjoy doing, and I guess you need to know yourself, what you're good at and what you're not. So it would make zero sense for me to do that. So no networking events. I do go to networking events, but the ones that I care about or the ones that I need. Not the ones where I need to sell myself or
Yeah.
my services. So I did not do that. I just started growing my online presence with just Google profile, trying to get Google reviews and putting my website out there, and people would just search for property management and call me up.
Got it. So as you grew your business, was there a certain door count where you were like, hey, operationally, what I'm doing now just isn't working as well as it used to when I was maybe at less doors? Like, what were the biggest challenges you faced along the way?
I think the biggest challenge was when I actually opened that door for third-party owners. Because, okay, now what? I have the office, I have this fax machine that I have to have. What do I do? Who do I fax?
Yeah.
Uh, and the first thing that when I started investing in real estate, I didn't know anything either. And actually, if I have time, there is a story how I got into investing. We can get into that later. But when I started, I was going out to all of these investors events, right, where I would network, get education, learn from them. Then when I got my real estate license, I had a broker that I could go to and ask them for advice or what needs to be done or how it can be done. And now I'm a broker myself. I have my own company. What do I do? I don't even have anyone to ask anything. I don't know anything. So the first thing that I had done is I started Googling property management communities or whatever I could find about property management, where property managers go. And one of the things that I found was NARPM. I do not remember how I got an email from them, or I do not remember if I joined NARPM first or I was just looking to join them, but somehow they got my email address. And probably just a few weeks into it, since I started my business, I'm getting this email from uh, local NARPM member from local in PA saying that, hey, we're starting PA chapter of NARPM and looking for people to help us do it. I
Okay.
had no idea what NARPM was. I had no idea what the local chapter, what all of that means. I was like, yes, I'm doing that. I will help you. I will do whatever needs to be done. That's how I got involved in NARPM, and that's where I got a lot of information, and I met a lot of people who's done this before, who know what they're doing, and how was how was I able to find a way to, I guess, to keep doing what I was trying to do. And
Okay.
that's how I figured out that my initial idea of having 15 properties and having somebody is managing all of that while I'm sitting on the beach is not going to be working. So everything had
So
to.
let's touch on that a little bit because I know that you do travel a fair amount, and you don't manage your business from that office all the time.
That is
Correct me if
right.
I'm wrong, of course, but that from our conversations off air, um, how do you have things set up to the point where you can run your property management company while you're in Costa Rica traveling? I obviously I assume that you're working from there, but like, what does this that setup look like? Do you have somebody local that is doing things, or can you walk us through a little bit what that structure looks like?
Sure. Yeah, I do travel a lot, or I would say a lot, but I travel a good amount of time, and probably at least 6 months out of the year, I'm not in Philadelphia, so I'm not present in the office. And that was one of my biggest goals when and still is, when I'm building my business, that I need to be able to be away and do whatever it is I want to do or need to do. And the businesses still should be able to run without me being present, at least physically. I can do this remotely. Yeah, the first thing that I've done, I hired a remote assistant right from the beginning. Just a few months in, I hired somebody who would just take the load off of me as far as the phone calls and any texts or emails with the tenants. So all the tenants' communication, I just offloaded from me right away, so I didn't have to deal with that. Of course, it took time. It's not just like you hire someone and they all of a sudden know what you want them to
Yeah.
do.
At first, it
Uh,
ends up creating more work for you because you have to train them,
yeah,
but
yeah.
eventually they end up being a big help.
That is it. That person is still with me. It's been over 5 years now. He's amazing. He's doing great job. Of course, he's doing much more than he was doing in the beginning, but he's definitely in the core of the company. And then we were growing, and what happened at that time? COVID happened.
Okay.
So I started business at the perfect time when I had to do everything remotely, no matter what.
Okay.
We had to do remote showings, we had to do remote inspections, and whatever else. It had to be remote. So everything that when I started the business, all the processes, policies, everything was built around doing things remotely or being able to do them remotely. And I think that was great. I was ahead of the curve. And that definitely helped me out. And during COVID, we were able to bring a little bit more doors. And then I think somewhere around when we were managing around 100 doors, I made a decision. And by the way, for the first 3 years of having property management company, I did not take a single cent out as my salary or my income. I was not making any money. Well, let me rephrase that. The business was making money. I, as an employee of that business,
Yeah.
was not making anything. I was working for free.
Okay.
So when we had a lot of or around 100 doors, I made a decision that instead of like getting some income for myself, I would rather have somebody local working in the company who would be able to do the showings, the inspections, or whatever, boots on the ground, right? So I don't have to do that.
Okay.
And ever since, it's been about growing the team of people, great people who would be able to run without me being physically in the office or without me being involved at all. So the goal is to be able to run the company without me being involved on day to
Okay.
day.
So it sounds like from day one, when you started, a big goal of yours was, I want to build a company that doesn't need me to be there physically in order to operate. And you kind of stayed true to that goal year after year because, like you're saying, you didn't even take a salary for the first 3 years because you were so focused on building up something that can run, let's call it seamlessly. I'm sure there's hiccups, of course, but seamlessly without you having to physically be there. So the way that you were able to kind of structure things like that is because you had this idea before you ever grew to a certain size, right? Because it obviously gets more difficult. If you were managing 250 doors and then decided this, your operations would probably be structured a little bit different if you were actually physically or had previously physically been in the office. Um, so I guess now that you're at this point, what does a typical day look like for you? Because as you mentioned, you're not in the office for like 6 months of the year, and you do have boots on the ground. So what is your like day-to-day focus on?
Well, what my data, and I guess going a little bit back, at some point you asked what was the numbers of doors that I had to make some hard decisions, right, or
Yeah.
some important decisions. So I think that happened around 150 doors.
Okay.
That at that point, besides me, I had I think three people working, one remote and two in the office.
Okay.
So at that point, I realized that if I want to grow and, as you say, manage it seamlessly remotely, I need to have better structure as far as our organizational structure and better responsibility, better tracking.
Mhm.
So right around 150 doors, that's when I decided to start implementing EOS in the company. And for those who doesn't know what that is, it's entrepreneurial operational system. It's not a software or anything. It's just the way how you run your business. So I had to well, I didn't have to, but I did bring a consultant who helped us to go through this whole process. And it's not just that you do in a week or
Yeah.
something. I think it took us about 4 months or 5 months to fully integrate everything that we needed to do. But that's what allowed me to actually have all the policies and procedures in place, all the company structure, the way how we manage, the way how our responsibility chart, uh, and all the meetings and all the KPIs as well. So that was a huge building block for me to know how I need to develop, how I need to build a company, and how I would be able to manage that remotely or not being in the picture. So I know what is my next step, who I need to hire, and what that role will be specifically, what they will be responsible for, and how that will help me to step out of that role.
Got it. So around 150 door mark is when you start to implement EOS.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard of a lot of property management companies implementing that, and so far it seems like they've all had appreciation for it. Um, so I guess at this point, like, what is your role? Where do you fit into that EOS operating system?
Well, it's funny that you ask. My role is everything that's on the top of that
The
responsibility card,
visionary is that
which is the visionary, integrator, and the ops manager as well. So my next step is actually to get out of the ops role. Uh, I want to hire somebody to replace me out of that, so I can be just visionary and integrator, and maybe at some point maybe I will have an integrator, uh, so I can just do whatever the visionary does.
okay?
But yeah, right now I'm on the top levels. I am myself doing all of that. And we went for a pod structure. So if somebody doesn't know what that is, it's not, there are a few different ways how you can have property management set up, right? You have portfolio is when your manager is managing specific amount of doors and they do everything for those doors. You have departmental when you have a leasing department, you have maintenance department, I don't know, bookkeeping department, or whatever departments you create. And what we have is kind of mix of all of that together. So we have pods, and each pod managing certain amount of doors, and the pod is a property manager with maintenance coordinator and leasing coordinator.
Okay.
So those three people can handle much more than just a property manager by themselves. And so right now we have one full pod that's successfully managing what we manage right now. And the goal is to create the second pod by the end of this year. So
Okay.
basically, when you have one, it's much easier to replicate the same. You can kind of just duplicate it and you have the same structure right next to it. And that's where the ops manager comment on the top of it. They kind of manage all the pods.
Got it. Okay. That's awesome. I guess outside of property management at this point, are you continuing to invest in real estate or like where do you invest these days? What does that look like?
Yes, I'm active in real estate. That's again, this is my passion. That's what I like doing. I can talk about real estate investing all day long. I can look at the numbers. I like numbers. I'm a numbers guy. That's why I guess all the KPIs come handy and all of this. NARPM accounting standards and all of that. It's very helpful. But yeah, I do invest. And of course, I invest in Philadelphia since I have my management company in Philadelphia. And the whole idea from the beginning was to have my properties under my control. Uh,
I
uh,
imagine being in property management in Philadelphia also gives you a pretty good insight into the market and probably get access to some deals that the general public don't necessarily see right away. Like, is there an advantage, do you find, now that you're actually running a property management company versus before when you were investing and using a property management company?
I wish I could say that I was getting some kind of off-market deals from the property management company. Haven't done that yet
No.
or haven't had that happen yet.
Yeah.
Luckily, our clients do not sell that much. And when they sell, we try helping them sell. And again, since I'm an investor and if my client is looking to sell, I want to get
Yeah.
the best possible scenario for them. And that's where I'm not the buyer for. I'm looking for a distressed property that I can buy at the discount, and then I will go and I fix it up and rent it out.
Yeah.
And the properties that we manage, they're not like that. We do not take properties that are dilapidated or properties that landlords do not want to fix up. We actually, before we take something on, we go and look at the property and make sure if it's not up to our standards that the owner is willing to do the repairs. If not, then we're just not going to take it. So
Okay.
most of the properties that we have under the management will not work for me as an investor. So no, I didn't get more of market deals for
Yeah.
that, but it's definitely helping me in the way that I now can buy in the areas where maybe I was not looking to buy in before just because I didn't have experience in those areas. And Philadelphia, it's a vast city with a lot of different areas and neighborhoods. So I was specifically investing in one part of the city. But now since I have all of this operational data from, oh wait, I can actually invest in this area as well, and it looks like the tenants are decent and I still can get decent returns.
Okay.
So that helps.
So it's benefited you in one way, but just not in the sense of getting more deals that are coming to you. It's more
Yeah,
so just being more familiar with the markets that are available for investors.
correct.
Okay. So during your experience in property management so far, what would you say the craziest experience that you've had is? Like a story you can share with us where it was just like, I can't believe that just happened.
That happens every day in property management.
Yeah.
Every day, I think nothing can happen that will just throw me off or I don't know, make me angry or whatever. It happens every time. Like you think that you've seen it all. No, you haven't. Every day there's somebody else who will make your day. But thinking back recently, just a couple months ago, we had so one of my people, we have field agent. That's the person who does the showings and condition reports for the property. So field agent goes for a showing and calls the office and tells us that, hey, I went for the showing and I went into the property before people showed up. So I put the lights on. It was while we still had cold days outside, so probably like February or March. He put the lights on, goes on the second floor, and he said, the bedroom door is closed. And he, like, it's weird. Like, why would I close the bedroom door? He opens up the door, and there's somebody sleeping on the floor naked, like two people going at it.
Oh my God.
He closed the door, ran away from the house. He's like, "What do I do?" So call the cops. We call the cops, and it's another podcast that we can talk about calling the cops in Philadelphia or how to get the squatter out of a house. And cops usually don't show up in Philadelphia if you call them, unless if you tell them that you see somebody with a gun and they shooting.
Okay.
So usually that's not a saver, but we call the cops. They actually show up and pretty quickly, which was very surprising, and I am happy that it happened. So cops show up. He tells them the story. They go upstairs, put the handcuffs on the people, take them out, put them in the car, and then cops call our office and they just confirm in the whole story that we're the property management company and that we're managing for the owner. And they ask for the owner's name. So we give them the owner's name and they tell us that this is the owner.
Oh my God.
So they literally took out the owner of this property. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why, what they were doing in the property, why they were naked, why they were sleeping on the
Yeah.
floor. Uh, but that happened.
Wow. Okay. So, all right. Well, that's, I guess, who knows why they were there, but looks like the owner was sneaking around or something.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm surprised the owner wouldn't have said anything about it.
Um,
Right? That's crazy.
I have no explanation to that. I
Yeah.
cannot imagine any scenario where I would go to my property, vacant
Yeah.
property, and be just sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Okay. Interesting.
it
Interesting.
happens.
That's a good one. Um, so if you could go back in time to when you started your journey in property management, what is the one thing that you would have done sooner to help yourself succeed at a quicker pace, whatever your definition of success might be?
Um, as the saying goes, right? If you go along, you go fast. If you go with a team, you go far. So I don't think that I would try to go faster or quicker to my goal. I would just start building out my team sooner and make sure that my team is actually the team that I need. And of course, those needs they change over time, right? You
For
start the
sure.
business with one idea, and then a year later you realize that your idea or your goals are not right, and you need to adjust as well as your team. You will need to adjust your team to whatever your goals are. But I would start building my team as soon as possible.
On the subject of your team, like, are there any specific tricks you have to hiring the proper person? Is there anything you do during a job screening that maybe isn't standard?
I do not know if there is any specific tricks that I do when I hire, but there is that book that's called Who. It basically goes into details on how to interview people and what to ask them. So
Yes.
we have a few interviews and we ask the same questions, kind of the same questions, but not exactly on each interview to just gauge if the person is actually telling you truth and who they are and if they're a good fit. So that's what we've been doing. But again, it depends on the position that you're hiring
For
for.
sure.
And I hired my most of my remote team members. I hired myself as well without going through any vendor who provides you with remote team members. That's a challenge as well. It takes a lot of time,
Mhm.
but it
One,
works.
one thing, so I don't know if you've ever done this, but one thing that we've found works well, especially with remote team members, is on the job description, give them some sort of task at the end that they have to do. So an example might be that you put a couple spelling mistakes throughout the job posting, and then tell them when they write back to you to apply for the job, you want them to let you know what those spelling mistakes were. And then another thing we'll
Chat
sometimes do is tell
GPT
them,
that.
yeah, they can, but it's just to make sure that they're actually like, 'cause some people just apply everywhere, right? But this helps you screen people right away where it's like, okay, they're not even paying attention to the job posting. Another thing we've done that I find helps as well is having them, you tell them one of the instructions is like you have to send in a 3-minute video telling us about yourself so that you can actually get, like, you can see who the person is and get an idea of,
Yeah.
obviously it's not the same as a job interview, but it helps just kind of shorten the window of time um, that it takes to hire somebody because now you don't have to necessarily sit down for like 15 different candidates. You can just talk to the 3 or 4 that stand out.
Yeah,
So
we've
just
definitely
little
done that
things that we
before.
found over the years that just help screen because you do get a lot of applicants sometimes, and it's hard to know who to even spend time speaking with. But
Yeah.
it's not perfect for every situation, but sometimes we find that to be helpful.
But again, it depends on the role that you're hiring. So, as I mentioned before, that I am starting looking into the ops manager position, and I don't really want to go out and hire someone. I am trying to see if I can get a referral for that position. It's a little bit more high skilled, high level position, and I want to make sure that the person that I get is actually we can communicate together. We're on the same
For sure.
level. And another option that I'm trying to do is that I'm looking to buy a property management company.
Okay.
So I went through this whole process of kind of education or whatever you would call it, how to buy a business. And I am ready to buy a property management company. So if you know anybody selling, let me know.
Okay.
But
Are
one
you
of the
looking
hopes
specifically in the Philadelphia market or open to different markets?
that that would be amazing if I can find somebody in the Philadelphia area, at least in the greater Philadelphia area, or in the state. But it's not, it hasn't been easy. I've been looking for a while and haven't seen much.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it'd be great. But I would go out of state with exception of West Coast. I don't want to do anything on the West Coast.
Okay.
But anywhere where there is a major airport within, I don't know, 1 hour, where we can fly back and forth within a couple hours from Philadelphia, I would do that.
Okay.
But the idea is here that if I purchase a property management company that is maybe a little bit bigger than my size, that I can already get a ready operational manager that's existing, and I will just
Have them.
integrate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense. Any departing words of advice for other property management company owners or aspiring property management company owners out there?
I think it's all very individual. I cannot give you like a general advice. So it depends on your goals with your business, and every business is different. Even though we're all in the same property management business, we all do it differently. We all have different goals and we have different business structure. So I think just know yourself and know what you're looking for and go from there.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time. For anyone that wants to connect with you, where would be the best place for them to reach out?
If anybody wants to connect, the best way, if you just want to connect, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I don't ever go there. So if you message me on LinkedIn, you probably will not get any response. But if you want to get a response out of me, it's better to email. And my email is my first name, Yuri, Yuriys, at trustartrealty.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Yuri.
Yep. Thank you, Stephen.